Before you is a public opinion survey that should be mailed out this next Friday. It is a very similar, if not exact, survey that we shared with the community in 2009. We are sending out 5,000 surveys this year. In 2009, we sent out 3,000, so we expect a higher return rate. But the reason this survey is very important to the police department gets back to the very premise as to why we exist. And the Janesville Police Department exists solely to serve our community. And to that end, it's very important for us to understand the community needs. And I'll also take you back for a moment as to why people follow the law. And the reason that people follow the law in America is because they believe that the laws that we have are appropriate and just, and because they trust in their police departments. And we think that these types of public opinion surveys go a long way to build that community trust. Also, I'll point your attention to how important it is for a police department to get it right. Unlike many private industries or private businesses, citizens don't have a choice as to which police department's going to serve them. In one sense, they're stuck with us, and it's important that we do our job well. I'll compare us to various businesses in the community. If you want to shop for your groceries, you can go to Woodman's, Logley's, or Pick and Save. You can make that choice. For your fuel, for your vehicles, you can go to Mobile, BP, or Quick Trip. You can make that choice. But when you have police service needs, you don't have any choice, and you need to come to the Janesville Police Department. So it's very important that we are able to do our job well and properly. I'd also like to draw the comparison to private industry in terms of determining success. Private industry has a distinct advantage over police agencies when it comes to determining success. They have units of product, and they have profit and loss statements that can tell them whether they're being successful and whether they need to raise prices or whether they can lower prices or whether they need more overtime for their employees or whether they need to cut back hours. In policing, we don't have that opportunity. In fact, all of us in this room could sit down and define everything that a police department does, and we'd have a pretty lengthy list, and we could come back tomorrow and add to that list. So when it's difficult even to define what we do, it becomes even more difficult to define success. But one way that is very helpful in determining success are public opinion surveys, because we did one in 2009 and we had that baseline information, and now we can come back in 2015 and ask very similar, if not the same, questions and see what our report card is, or to make the comparison to private industry, what our profit and loss statement is. So it's very important for us to gauge our success, and we appreciate that there's many factors that can enter into these public opinion surveys outside of policing, but at least it's one tool for us to gauge how we're doing with the community. You'll notice this public opinion survey has some very specific areas. The first part of the opinion survey talks about safety in the community, and we break it down into neighborhoods and how safe do you feel during the day, at night, out walking in your neighborhood, out walking in other neighborhoods. How safe do you feel in public in terms of shopping and schools, driving, and in your workplace. The next section talks about service and the services that we provide. The citizens are able to decide how important those services are, and they're able to grade us on our performance for those services. So some of those areas would be parking violations, enforcing juvenile laws, drug laws, OWI laws, but we're able to gauge the importance that the citizens or value that they place on those various services that we have. The next section is a group of programs that we offer, such as bicycle patrols, crime prevention, K-9 unit, SAFE program, and citizens are able to tell us how important those various programs are. And that may be quite important as we go into next year because we're heading into a very tough budget year. Program cuts are very probable, and if we are able to obtain information from our citizens that tell us that certain programs are not important to the citizens, then that's probably something we should listen to and consider. There's also a section that citizens can tell us how comfortable they feel approaching the police department and our officers, which is always important. And then towards the end of the survey, it talks with some open-ended questions, the biggest problems that the citizens think the Janesville Police Department will face in the next 5 years. And if you could change one thing about the Janesville Police Department, what would it be? So it'll be interesting to see how this survey in 2015 does when we look at some of the things that we addressed as a result of the survey.